Mikhail, thanks for joining MedTech Unboxed.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. I know we've been talking a while, and I've been following all the LinkedIn posts about the latest status of VirtuCath, and I'm really looking forward to digging in deep on it and actually having you show us, a few examples.
Sounds great. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, I know you have a pretty solid background in mechanical design and R&D for medical devices, and that's the audience here that's listening in on this podcast today. So you're with your peers, and I was just curious. You developed this novel software package to design and develop and simulate delivery systems, reinforced catheters, steerability, all kinds of other features that we'll get into. And I was just curious, what was the motivation? Was there a certain point in time or a pain point that you had that you decided to kind of take this on?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm relatively new to the world of catheter design. My background, like I said, is mechanical engineering and design engineering and medical devices, but I only came to catheters about 2 years ago. And when I started working in catheters, I realized that there aren't a lot of good tools for designing these things. It's so heavily tribal knowledge. I worked with great catheter design engineers that knew what they were doing and could design what they wanted, but it's a lot of design based on experience, based on past examples they've done, things they think will work. But when you ask to quantify and to iterate and to help understand why this design will work and why this one will not work, there's not a lot of great tools out there.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's a lot of there's books and there's patents that you could look at and just general catheter information, but to qualify it further and test it even before you get to the bench is, I would think, very, a good tool to have to shorten that design cycle.
Exactly. The other alternative is to prototype everything,
Yeah,
and that's expensive and it takes a long time.
right.
And anything you can do to shorten that iteration cycle is very helpful.
Yeah. Well, that was good. That was the next question I was going to ask you. What's the value prop or the key there? I think it is really to shorten that design cycle. Also to do kind of a simulated DOE, right?
Absolutely. With the software, you can set your parameters, you design your catheter, and then I have this module I added that I'm very excited about. You can select any two parameters, and it will run a full virtual DOE for you, hands off, and give you a response surface you can then navigate and quickly hone in on the design you want.
Yeah, that's very powerful. Speaking of powerful in this tool and all this effort, I was just curious, how do you protect yourself? The IP, is that a real big concern? Is there an issue there? Is there a potential risk there? How do you kind of handle that?
There's a couple answers to that. The basic math behind it is not protected.
Okay.
It's based on well-known mechanics composite theory, on classical elimination theory. The math is well known by anyone that's willing to go dig, which I think is a benefit because you understand how it works, really.
Yeah.
The other way I look at it is that this is such a niche product for a niche industry.
Yeah.
That I don't see a lot of people out there sniping for it.
Yeah. Okay. I see that. I was just curious. Yeah. Well, I know you did a lot of work on the beta testing and improve a lot of effort goes in the user experience, and maybe you can kind of walk us through the tool now. If you want to share your screen, I think that'd be a great opportunity. Then we can follow up with a few other questions about kind of what's next.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort into trying to make this as easy as possible to use. The basics are a wizard on the left side that will guide you through design. You can choose to design from the manual out, from a target OD, from a manual and a target OD. You can go through and either design a single section or design your whole catheter or just a proximal tip if you're curious about the dynamics of it. Everything is completely dynamic. You update the parameters, everything changes, everything flows down.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the real powerful page, this is where you can define each section layer by layer. So here you can see I have a liner defined.
Yeah.
You can choose a material. VirtuCath comes with a full material library of about 50 or so common materials. You can define braid layers. And here you can change PPIs, you can change common patterns. Again, everything updates dynamically as you go through. You have a jacket layer.
Yep.
So you can repeat the same thing for each section. Here's where you can define pull wires if you want to use them. That will let you actually dynamically actuate the catheter and move it around in the simulation on the next step. So just do this where it is. You have up to 4 pull wires.
Okay. I don't think anybody has that capability in simulate catheter simulation software. The steerability. Am I correct there?
Not without doing a full FAA, which is, difficult and costly.
Okay.
So here we get the summary screen of the catheter, which is defined. You can see it only took a couple of minutes. You get a summary of the definition, including these dynamically generated simulations or visualizations, which you can grab and put in your presentation.
Okay.
Or will also be in the report you can generate from the software. So here's the interesting part. Once you're happy with your model and you build it, you get this dynamic view of the catheter. And on the right, you get these dynamic performance indicators. So I can, for example, add a couple of millimeters of deflection on a pull wire, and you can see the predicted shape the catheter will go to. So you can control live, play around. If you're trying to target a certain tip angle or a certain wire tension, that's all available to you live. It'll calculate the bend radii, the bending moments, even ovalization. And that's on the dynamic side. It's also a fully featured static catheter calculator. So we'll calculate for each section you defined buckling, kink radius, tensile failure, torque failure, stiffness properties, everything you would expect from a static catheter calculator.
Right.
And as we talked about earlier, there's this nice DOE section. Well, for example, you want to see what happens to my kink radius if I change the thickness of the liner and, the braid PPI.
Yep. Good.
So you run the experiment, go to kink radius, the flexible, and there you go. There's your response surface, which you can then navigate and find the kink radius you're looking for.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. So you could do up to 4-wire steerable or just mono. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, 4 wires.
Yep. Okay. It's so, I noticed I just have to ask one of the first parameters you picked was the liner, and, you picked PTFE, I think, which is common, right? Inner liner for a catheter shaft. But with all this conversation about PFAS, you said there's a long list of different liners. I assume there's some of the low friction compounds possibly as part of the library.
So what I did actually is I went to Chamfr and looked at every extrusion you guys offer and filtered it by the most common and took the first 50 or so and went to pull the data sheets for each of those. So not every polymer will be in there, especially not every complex polymer, but the material library lives on your computer and you can add or modify as needed with your materials, with your polymers.
Okay. Chamfr came in handy as always, right?
Absolutely.
Good. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good tool to use. I mean, most of the low friction compounds from those extruded tubing from those low friction compounds are all on Chamfr. Yeah. Propel, the Dynaflex has their Everglide, and then there's others as well. Okay, great. So there's plenty
As
of
long as you,
options for liners. Yeah.
as long as you have the basic mechanical properties, you can put them in the software and it will simulate them for you.
Okay. There's a fairly new feature you came out that looks pretty slick, the braid visualizer. Do you want to walk us through that as well?
So there is the visualizer, which we saw in the software.
Yeah, just a little over that again.
1 second, sorry.
Yep, it's okay.
Sorry, where they're sharing.
All right. Okay.
So for every braid layer or every layer defined as a braid,
Yeah.
you can choose braid or coil.
Okay.
And for coil, you can pick the pitch, the number of filers, wire material, round or flat wire, and diameter.
Okay.
For braid, there's a few more choices. You can choose the pattern as well.
Yeah.
You can do diamond, pretty much everything common.
Slick. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there? Oh, gotcha.
It tells you
That's
you,
exactly wanted to
you
go
went a little
through,
bit too high.
Yeah. Are there? I guess it would be pretty complicated, or maybe there are plans to add laser cut hypotube reinforcements in there at some point, right?
I looked into that, and there's no good way to
Yeah.
calculate it analytically without using FEA, unfortunately,
Okay.
that I could find.
Okay.
But that would be ideal. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's really slick. You know, you have some beta users right now, right? Some engineers that are testing this out, and are you getting feedback of a cadence coming in with different feedback that you're maybe some things that you might bugs or whatever that you might add or improve upon, and just based on feedback from the users?
Yeah. The community has been incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
I'm on my 4th or 5th public version release.
Okay.
People have been trying out, giving me feedback on features, on bugs. It's been enormously helpful.
Okay.
And if anyone listening right now wants to go and try it out, it will be the latest version we just saw. I just uploaded it to my website, which is VirtuCath's.com. You can find the beta download there. And this is probably the last best chance to try it out. I'm hoping to release soon.
Okay.
So if you want a feature, the design's not finished. So if you want a feature that will be the killer feature for you and you want to add it now, please try it out. Send me an email. I'm open to adding more features now before I lock it down and release it.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we'll make sure to put the link down and make sure everybody's aware of that. They want to now or never.
Not never,
quite,
but now is a great chance
yeah,
to do it.
yeah, exactly. I hear you. Okay. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about kind of, if you can, the future, the vision. Is there? How do you anticipate, going forward with some additional advanced features?
Like I said, I hope to be done adding things unless I get some really strong feedback asking for other features.
Yeah.
I have, 1,000 other ideas.
Yeah.
I could keep adding things forever. I'm at the point now where I want to just get it out there and get into people's hands.
Yeah.
And then at that point, build based on people's needs and feedback, not just what I think would be cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Mikhail, this has been great. Very informative, a real impressive tool. I think there's a real need for it, and I hope to see these next iterations come up based on your beta user feedback.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.